Africa, that big old continent over there, they never built one boat that was seaworthy. Not one. There's not one monument in Africa, in all of Africa. I know you're talking about Egypt. Egypt is not Africa.
I'm going to open up with some prayer. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight. I have 180 videos, y'all. My name is Brother Berean, and I've never opened up in some prayer, but with what I'm about to say, I might act ignorant. Who you saw was on Pastor Manning. Pastor Manning, David Manning. He's from Atla Ministry. All the land anointed. Holy something. That's what Atla stands for. He's from Harlem, New York. Now, y'all often hear me get on some of them Harlem brothers up there because that's the heart of the conscious community in America. Sinetta lives in Harlem, Shaka Utmost is in Harlem, and a host of other people that you would see on Sinetta TV, Black News 101. But Pastor David Manning, by his own admission, he is a convicted felon. He spent some time, I think 3.5 years, in the penitentiary for robbing houses on Long Island back in the early 70s. He went away for 3.5 years, and in jail he was, he came to the Lord. He became a Christian. He said he was part of the, I believe part of the hate white folk clan. He was back then. Then he came to Jesus and he realized certain things. He have a bunch of videos out, and the video that y'all just saw, that's just one thing. He feels a certain way. He says that he received his master's degree from Union Theological Seminary, which is a recognized seminary here in New York, uptown in New York. And he said, and I believe he opened up a school, his Atla ministry, they opened up a school, and through his school he received a PhD or whatever. We'll talk about those degrees later on. But he's very interesting in some of the comments that he make. And this is why religion is dangerous, especially religion without historical facts. We have to talk about religion and history and the whitewashing of history, and how some people can go to seminary and just be confused. Some people can just read books and be confused. He said afterwards he, according to what they say about him, that he went to Africa when he was in seminary, and that changed his position on a lot of things far as blacks. He believed in a Hermetic curse, that a curse are on black people, and black people really never did anything. Ancient Africans never did anything outside of meeting the Europeans, and after 1492 and Christopher Columbus, when he met when Europeans came in contact with Africans, he claimed for the first time that that's when they started to do things, when they were brought here as slaves. Now, he's wrong on so many levels, and even the comments in his video, I see Europeans come into the room, oh, this pastor is so wise, and this pastor, he's a bold man to make the statements that he's making. It's sad, but it's true. Kind of like when the Birth of a Nation came out with the Klan and men of African descent being hungry for a white woman and all of this stuff. It was all propaganda. And it's interesting, there's another book on propaganda. I think that was Sigmund Freud's nephew that wrote that, but I don't want to get off the subject. Manning's real interesting. So he said he has a master's degree from Union Theological Seminary, and he's teaching that blacks have not done anything. Blacks haven't had any ships that were that could sail anywhere. Basically black people are nothing. Now, this is very interesting because he also says that Egypt is not a part of Africa. That's always been the war, because there have been European scholars since the time of Napoleon, and they attempted to say, because of the great finds and stuff in Egypt, they've attempted to always pull Egypt out of Africa and give us terms such as the Middle East. The Middle East is a brand new term. If we go back to Jesus, and we go back to Moses, and we go back to Herodotus, and we go back to Tacitus and Pliny and Nero and Cleopatra and Mark Antony, they never heard the term the Middle East. This is a new term. We have to understand certain things. Geography geography and maps, these people have always been changing lands. They steal some land, they'll move the borders over and do all type of strange trickery. It's like magic that they're doing with lands and maps, and it's all for a specific reason. But what's so interesting is he say, first of all, Egypt is now and has always been on the continent of Africa. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. And when we start doing history, we have to understand certain things. When we do history, when historians attempt to gather information or facts, they want to go back to primary, secondary sources, and oral tradition. These are the three main things. If we go back to early travelers, early Greek travelers, first of all, Alexander the Great in 325, Philip the son of Macedonia, he was already in Egypt. He was already set up, and a lot of people consider Alexander the Great a European, some type of white man. A lot of people consider him that. He was definitely not African. And when he came into the land, he took the land from Persians. So what he's saying is definitely wrong. Egypt is part of Africa. Great pyramids in Egypt. I think Anthony Browder from the Conscious Community told y'all that until the Eiffel Tower was built, for 3,000 years, the pyramids were the tallest standing man-made structures on the face of the earth. That's Anthony Browder. That might be from the from Tony Browder, from the Browder Files. That might be from the Browder Files. And it's crazy, so I'm going to try to tackle a few things. First of all, if you go back to history and you start dealing with Herodotus and Diodorus and Tacitus and so many other people, it's interesting that people that were eyewitnesses. Diodorus says that that Osiris and everyone in Egypt, they came from Ethiopia, and that Egypt was a colony of the Ethiopians. Now, of course, people like Pastor Manning's confused because he thinks Ethiopians are full of a mixture of European and Arabic people and all of that stuff. But certain things took place. That's how come I say timelines are important. Certain things took place after the advent of Islam and Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves, basically, you know, the people of the Quraysh tribe and various tribes that Muhammad came from. They were already robbers. They would go and they would conquer some land and conquer some people and pilgrim and pillage some stuff, and they would take what they call the booty. They would take the booty. They would take the loot. They would go around and rob. Like we use the word thug. They would go thug. They would go get with people and just rob the people and just come back with the loot, grab some wives and just come back, or just take over the folk land and do what they wanted to do. And later on, that happened in what we call Ethiopia today. But Herodotus and Diodorus, they speak about the Ethiopians, and it's interesting that Herodotus in his histories, he say that there's two sets of Ethiopians, and Ethiopia compassed a great land. Said it's two sets of Ethiopians, the ones with the straight long hair and the ones with the tight curly hair. And I think that's important. We have to have history lined up, or we'll just pick up facts in the Bible. We'll pick up things in the Bible and we'll start running with them and we'll start being confused. We have to know that people have conquered lands and people have lied, plain and simple. There's too much evidence to say that Egypt is not part of Africa. There's too much evidence to say when we start dealing with great West African civilizations, Pastor Manning is crazy. And it hurts me that people would fall into this race baiting mess, because that's all it is. It's a lot of stuff that's going on, and we can just basically call it race baiting. And people aren't sticking with the facts. I'm going to try to give you an example, because he said that when he went to Egypt, when he went to Libya and different places, it's reported that he saw the place looking so bad and all of Africa. First of all, you haven't been to all of Africa. You might have been to a few countries in Africa, and then you went to Europe and you saw a few of their castles and you were mesmerized by their castles like Africans never did anything. It's the 29th of September and in 2017. And there was a hurricane that just passed through a lot of the U.S. and through the entire island of Puerto Rico. If I went to Kennedy Airport right now and I jumped on a plane and I went to Puerto Rico and I landed in Puerto Rico and I saw the devastation, people online waiting for gas, houses flooded, roofs ripped off, people in the street, I can't say that that land has always been like that. Something came through and just messed the land up. something took place to have Puerto Rico looking the way it does today, September 29th, 2017. But I can't say it was always like that. So he's making mistakes, and I'm trying to keep it. I'm trying to be a good believer, and and that would be somebody that's considered a brother in Christ, but he's a believer. But religion is dangerous, and religion without knowledge, religion without wisdom will have you out here crazy. He say black men never did anything. Basically, he praised Europeans for bringing blacks over here during slavery, and that's a whole different conversation right there. But I'm going to play a little bit more of the video. Y'all check the rest of this video out, and y'all get with me for part 2. I'm Brother Berean. If you like what you heard, subscribe. Check out the rest of it.
They don't like the message that we preach. You faggots! You lesbos! You are perverted! You white devils is who you are! And sick! And by the way, is this the biggest crowd y'all can get? You advertised for more than a month! 2 months! You were in the newspapers, on television. Where are the rest of the faggots? Where are the rest of New York City's faggots? Why didn't the rest of the faggots come with your faggots? Where are the rest? Where are the rest of the demon possessed? Where are they? Is this the best that you can do? A small crowd like this? Aren't you embarrassed? You are demon-possessed white trash faggots from where they went. God's going to put a cancer in the butthole. God's going to put a cancer in the butthole of every sodomite. Every sodomite's butthole will get cancer in the butthole. It'll burn and burn and burn. They won't be able to sit down because of the burning in their butthole. He can't sit down. He's got a burning in his butthole. He's got a fire. He's got a flame coming out of his butthole. God's going to have a flame coming out of your butthole. You're going to.
Do you have any kind of message for the organization looking to purchase this church?
Go to hell and do it now. I would tell them to kiss my ass, but they might like that.